I recently got a late night Uber home from Reading with my partner. The driver picked us up at about 10 to 1 in the morning. As I'd had quite a few drinks, I was in a very chatty mood. I got into a casual conversation with him. I asked him whether we were his last job of the night since it was so late. He said that no, he usually worked until about 5 or 6 in the morning. He then, unprompted, proceeded to explain that he'd had quite a few strange things happen to him while he was driving on the road at night. My ears naturally pricked up on hearing this, and I asked my driver what he meant. He said that on one night, he'd been dropping his passenger off to their rural home in the middle of nowhere. While he and his client were driving along, they spotted a man standing at the grassy verge on the side of the road. This was unusual to begin with, because the area is so rural, it's not even in a town or village. However, as they approached the figure, he disappeared before their very eyes. On another occasion, my driver explained that he received a panicked phone call from his friend, also an Uber driver, who had been dropping a passenger off to Wallingford in South Oxfordshire. However, due to an incident which had occurred there, he was now too afraid to drive home alone. Hastily making his way down to Wallingford, my driver asked his friend what had happened, to which his friend explained that his passenger, a woman, had been sitting in the rear of the car. As they were approaching her final destination, she asked him casually, "Who's the woman sitting in the front passenger seat? Is she one of your family members? Your sister, perhaps?" To which the driver responded, shaking like a leaf, "There's nobody in the passenger seat." Good evening. My name's Edward King Thompson, and welcome to another video. As you may have guessed, this recent conversation inspired me to research hauntings on the roads of Oxfordshire. Road ghosts are an intriguing facet of the paranormal. In the world of ghost stories, they have a very specific, unique set of tropes and reported phenomenon which separate them from traditional hauntings. I wonder if the reason for this is that these sightings occur when the eyewitnesses are in transient states, moving through unfamiliar environments, often tired and understimulated from the monotony. As explained in a recent episode of BBC's Uncanny, road ghost accounts can often be separated into two distinct variants. There is that of the near miss, or perceived accident, where a person suddenly appears in front of a vehicle. The driver, too close to stop, braces for impact, only for the apparition to vanish, or pass straight through the car. The other, better known variation of the road ghost is the phantom hitchhiker. Most people, regardless of interest in the supernatural, will have heard a version of this legend. A driver, travelling on an isolated stretch of road in the dead of night, happens upon a lone traveller thumbing a lift on the side of the road. Taking pity on this isolated person, the driver stops to allow them to enter the car. Usually, the person chooses to sit in the back seat. As the driver resumes their trip, some brief conversation is shared before, eventually, both occupants of the car fall silent. Before long, the driver glances in their rearview mirror, only to observe that the back seats are completely empty. They've been driving on their own the entire time. I would argue that there's a third genre of road ghost, one which is iconic in British folklore, that of the phantom highwayman. We've covered several stories of highwaymen on the channel before, they just keep cropping up. It's hardly surprising then that Oxfordshire, in the heart of the south of England, is no exception. This is the legend of Black Stockings. On the old B4047 between Witney and Burford, there is a stretch of road near Asthall Turn. It is this location which is said to be haunted by the spirit of a highwayman. He has been sighted on both horseback and on foot, dressed from head to toe in pitch black 18th century clothing. One sinister detail of Black Stockings' behaviour tells of him stopping riders and violently ripping them backwards off their horses. Supposedly in life, Black Stockings lived in the hamlet of Worsham. The most infamous highwaymen historically operating in this area were Tom, Dick and Harry Dunstan, so naturally the legend of Black Stockings has been linked to them. The legend's origin is murky. He could have been any Tom, Dick or Harry. There is also a tenuous connection between Black Stockings and Dick Turpin, According to West Country Outlaws, Highwaymen and Rogues by Richard Pearse, one of Turpin's first crimes was the theft of a racehorse named White Stockings. Some people suggest that this is one fragment of Black Stockings' origin, or even that the ghost is Dick Turpin himself. The story is further muddled by local claims that the ghost of Black Stockings was invented by living highwaymen operating in the area. The intention of this was to frighten the law to prevent them from being captured and arrested. Right next to the stretch of road patrolled by the spectral highwayman, there are reports of a phantom hitchhiker in the village of Asthall itself. Two separate accounts describe a young girl with dark shoulder-length hair and olive skin flagging down a lift. When the respective drivers pick her up, they notice that she's soaked through to the skin. Remarking on her wet appearance, she replies with something to the effect of, "It's too late, he's gone," or "The water, the river, he's gone." The Evenlode River runs nearby, but no substantial historical connection has ever been made. We often make sense of the paranormal by tying stories of phenomenon to tangible things in our perceived physical reality. Spirits haunt houses, public buildings, places in the landscape, and even objects. However, road ghosts don't quite fit into that mould. Roads by their very nature are transient spaces. They are routes that exist simply to take us from one location to another, not places designed for humans to spend time. But the hauntings which occur here force us to slow down. They give these remote sections of rural road that sense of place. The ghosts which inhabit them remind us that anywhere humans have set foot has history and is a location with characters who refuse to let us forget them. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.